Hello friends, welcome to Raut Swayas. I am Loknath and today we are going to discuss about the ecosystem. It is the part 2 of ecology and environment for UPSC and OPSC purposes. Is it right? So friends, what is ecosystem? Already we have discussed the part 1 of that environment and what is ecology, what is environment, and we have also cited some examples of functional unity of ecosystem in my previous classes. And today this particular class we are going to deal with study only ecosystem. Friends, ecosystem, the term ecosystem was given by A.G. Tansley. A.G. Tansley. The system ecosystem Tansley in 1935. A.G. Tansley was the first person who gave the term ecosystem. Means, what is ecosystem? In short, we can say that if in relation to environment or ecology, we can say that it is the functional unit of an environment. It is the functional unit of an environment, number one. Otherwise, it is also structural unit of an structural unit. Also, we can say structural unit of an environment. Number two, and number three, we can say that it is the fundamental unit of an environment. Is it right? So the word ecology was derived or coined. This was coined by A.G. Tansley in 1935. Okay, and the ecosystem. If we will define ecosystem, then it is the interrelationship between the living organism with themselves at the same time, so also with the non-living environment. So ecosystem may be defined as the interrelationship among the living organisms themselves and at the same time also with the environment, that is non-living things. That is more relation. Let us write the definition. Ecosystem may be defined as the interrelationship among the living organisms and also with their environment. That is, we can say there is a relationship between biotic components, that is living to livings, we can say the biotic component, biotic to biotic, and again at the same time biotic to abiotic. There is a interrelationship and interaction. Interrelationship and interaction between these components. So ecosystem is defined as the interrelationship between the living organism and also the environment. How they exist, how they cooperate, how they maintain their each other, how they benefit each other. We don't think that only the living organisms are getting benefited from the non-living things. At the same time, the non-living things are also getting benefited by the living organisms, because the living let us take an example of forest. Even in forest ecosystem, you will see that the living organism are the lion, tiger, bear, this type of various type of living organisms are found. That means we can have fauna and different type of flora also found, that in the plant category. They interact, and the non-living things, so the soil, sunlight, air, water, everything is there. and the living things helps in the maintaining and the survival of the wet forest, that is soil, air, water, everything is but preserved, conserved due to the living organisms. If the living organisms will be not there, then the human will interfere and manipulate the forest, and the destruction of forest will be there. And if as the wild animals are there, they maintain, they guard the forest. So it is indirectly the forest get maintained. Is it right? So there is interrelation. We cannot deny that there is no interrelationship between them. Always there is a balanced relationship between living to living, that is biotic to biotic, and at the same time biotic to abiotic. Is it right? So this is called ecosystem. Is it right? As for example, we can ecosystem, we can say a very good example is your ecosystem which at home we can find that aquarium. It is, though it is an artificial ecosystem maintained by, manipulated by human, so it is a very good example of ecosystem. Another ecosystem, crop field, you may have seen. We can say pond and ecosystem, we can say grassland ecosystem, forest ecosystem, what tundra ecosystem. So this type of different types of ecosystem. So let us see the types of ecosystem. Types of ecosystem. Ecosystem, as we have already discussed, discussion will divided broadly into two types, that is natural, that is artificial. That is artificial. No human interference, no human interference, no human interference. Here human interference, interference means, so see human interference, artificial and natural. So natural ecosystem again can be divided into different types. Just we can say forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, we can say tundra ecosystem. In this category we can say very good example is, you can say pond ecosystem, crop field is an also ecosystem, and we can say aquarium. I can say aquarium is also an ecosystem. So these are the different type of ecosystems. So you see this forest ecosystem, as we have already discussed, forest ecosystem the dominated by the plants, trees, that we can say trees, different type of flora is found, different type of flora, that means all the flora, all the plant species found in a particular place is called flora. See, and all the plant species found in a particular space and particular time is called flora, and all the animal species is called fauna, animal species. Okay, animal species. So fauna and flora in a forest ecosystem which is dominated by trees, means large number of the bigger plants, that is we can say found different. It is a very good example of natural ecosystem in which different flora and fauna, different types of plant species, animal species are found, including from the virus, bacteria, that is from microorganism to the lion, bear, tiger and elephant. From virus, bacteria to elephant and tigers are found in the forest ecosystem, which maintain and balance the interrelationship among themselves, at the so also at the same time with the non-living things. Next come to grassland ecosystem. Grassland ecosystem is such type of ecosystem in which it is dominated by the grass instead of plants. Instead of plants, it is dominated by the grass. Is it right? It is dominated by the grass. Just we can say, as we can say the savanna grassland. Savanna grassland, we can say it a very good example of savanna grassland ecosystem. Next come to tundra ecosystem. As we know that due to cover of glaciers in the tundra region. We know that the no rainfall is there, and but the very glaciers are melt, so no plant species are found, only the some minor small species are floating, and there is no, it is not a variety, it is a rich diversity. You cannot say that, you can say that grassland and forest are rich in biodiversity. These both are rich in biodiversity, whereas this is not in the biodiversity, that is very poor in diversity because of lack of what, rain, and then lack of trees or grass. Is it right? Next come to artificial ecosystem. In artificial ecosystem we are going to discuss pond ecosystem. Pond is dug by the human, it is made by the human, so it is maintained by human, so it is coming under the artificial ecosystem. Don't think that pond is a natural ecosystem, because it is dug, it is maintained, that is and the fish species, you can say species are allowed to grow in this region under the care of the humans, so it is called pond ecosystem. It is also mostly found in the aquatic plants, and also so in the artificial, so this artificial ecosystem in the pond is also one type of artificial ecosystem which is maintained by human. Another is a crop field. Crop field is also maintained by human because it is created by the humans. So crop field is your variety of insect species are found, and aquatic animals also found, and the dominated by the crops. Next come to aquarium. Aquarium is a very artificial system which is made of glass and metals, and it is totally completely without the human manipulation, because we supply the foods, we supply the nutrients, we supply the air, everything is supplied by the human itself. So these are some way classification of what the ecosystem, that is natural ecosystem and what artificial ecosystem. Now let us see another way we classify the ecosystems. Another way we can classify ecosystems, you see ecosystems can be classified as you see here. How classified? We can say terrestrial ecosystem, terrestrial, and aquatic ecosystem. This is aquatic. Land, that is in the land ecosystem, and the ecosystem in water is called aquatic. Ecosystem in the land is called a terrestrial ecosystem, and ecosystem of water is called aquatic. So in this case we can say the grassland, as we have told, grassland and forest ecosystem. Another ecosystem we can say the desert ecosystem. So these are the what, the terrestrial ecosystem. In this case it is again divided, the aquatic ecosystem is again divided into two types, that is a freshwater ecosystem, we can say freshwater ecosystem, and marine water ecosystem, that is in this case ponds, rivers, these are coming under this freshwater ecosystem. And this marine ecosystem, it is calling the lakes, salt lakes, we can say particularly oceans, seas. These are the example of marine ecosystem. Is it right? So this is another classification, terrestrial, on the based on the environment, whether the dry environment or the aquatic water aquatic environment. This is another. Now let us see the structure of ecosystem. Structure of ecosystem, structure of an ecosystem. Though particularly, friends, we can say the structure of ecosystem is broad, mostly depends upon the what components of ecosystem. That is based on the components of ecosystem, based on the components of an ecosystem. Is it right? Based on the components. So components, as we have already know that components, two types components are there, that is biotic components and abiotic components. Biotic and abiotic, that is we have already discussed living things and non-living things. Living things and non-living things, is it? So living things and non-living things. The biotic components, we can say the different levels. They say we can say the producers, consumers, decomposers. Producer, consumes, decomposers. So तीन टाइप में डिवाइड किया गया, 3 टाइप्स. दैट इज प्रोड्यूसर, दे प्रोड्यूस द फूड, द ग्रीन प्लांट्स. They utilize the solar energy, mineral waters, and they produce their food themselves. The green plants are coming under the producer category because they use solar energy into solar energy. They use solar energy and convert into chemical energy. Chemical energy. So light energy is converted to chemical energy that is stored in the form of food or starch. Is it right? So this is coming under the green plants. We can say the green plants. So this consumer is again divided into 3 types. Consumers are in broadly divided into 3 types. We can say herbivorous, carnivorous, and omnivorous. Herbivorous, carnivorous, and omnivorous. Herbivorous, the grass eating it. And the grass eating animals are called herbivorous, where consumers mostly the the animals, heterotrophs. This is called autotrophs. Autotroph plants are called autotrophs. Autotrophs, self nourishment. Autotrophs, though they produce their food for themselves, they are called autotrophs, self nourishment. Which because consumer, these are heterotrophs. These are called heterotrophs. All the animals are called heterotrophs because they depend upon others for their nutrients or food. Okay, producer is called autotrophs, consumers are called heterotrophs, decomposers are also heterotrophs. So consumers are the mostly the animals, and the animals are divided into 3 categories. Just you have said, herbivorous, the grass eating or plant eating animals, and consumers, carnivores, those are eating the animals, other animals, that is flesh eating animals, they eat flesh of others, and omnivorous, who eat both plants as well as fat animals, are called omnivorous. A very good example, you can see human is omnivorous. Human, dog, hog, cat. So these are, you can say, these are the fat omnivorous. So, okay friends, so biotic components are again divided into 3 broadly: producer, consumer, and decomposer. The decomposers are the bacteria, like we can say the blue-green algae, cyanobacteria, blue-green algae. These are some bacteria which decompose the dead and but the fallen parts, the rust parts, or those decompose. They decompose and mix it the soil. The nutrients are again added with the soils. So they call it decomposer because they decompose. They break down the dead and remaining parts of the plants and animals and mixed in the form of nutrients. They mixed into the soil. So these are, we can example, we can say the cyanobacteria and blue-green algae. Rhizobium also nitrogen fixation कर रहा है, that is one type of. So you can say this here. Next, the abiotic components. Abiotic component, as we have already discussed in the previous class, that is the sunlight, air, water, mineral nutrients. These are the what the abiotic or non-living component. They also play an important role in your the survival of the ecosystem. You think if there will be no water, there will be no sunlight, if there will be no carbon dioxide, then no food will be prepared by the producer, no food will be available for the animals or other organisms. So see, so it plays a very important role in an ecosystem. Is it right? So this is another classification of some types of ecosystem. Clear? Now let us see. Now we have already discussed what is ecosystem, types of ecosystem, and structure of ecosystem. Now energy flow in an ecosystem. We will discuss a special video in energy flow, but today we are going to discuss some way energy, how the energy flows. Suppose sunlight, sun is here, sun the producer, consumer, then decomposer. So see, it is the general way of flow of energy in an ecosystem, and each type the energy is transferred from one state to another state. These are called the trophic levels. We will discuss in the next class trophic levels. Each stage is called a trophic level, and the energy flow in a trophic level is 10% of the previous one, which is called Lindemann's 10% rule. Lindemann's 10% rule or law. That is, in an ecosystem, the energy flows from one trophic level to another trophic level. That means from one stage to another stage is 10%. That is, if you say that if it is will take the 1000, then its 10% will be 100, and its 10% will be 10, and its 10% और कुछ होगा तो इसका percent 1. In this way, this energy flow takes place. But let us see. Actually, if we will go in detail, we will see that. If we will go in detail, we will see that producers, herbivores. We will discuss the herbivores first because it is the first primary consumer. इसको बोलते हैं first degree consumer, primary consumer, 1 degree, first degree consumer or primary consumer. You can say primary. Then then I get what secondary consumer, herbivorous, carnivorous, and then come to omnivorous. So in this is your herbivores. It's carnivorous. Carnivorous is also divided again into two types of primary carnivorous, secondary carnivorous, and omnivorous. Let us see an example of grass, insect, frog, snake, hawk. You see, this is grass is called producer. The insect is a grass eating animal, so it depends upon grass, so it is called primary consumer. Otherwise you can say herbivorous. So this is called primary carnivorous, because it's the first place eating. It's depends upon insect for its nutrients. The primary consumers, or we can say carnivores, first degree carnivorous. Snake is called secondary carnivorous, second degree carnivorous. It depends upon the frog for its nutrients. Now let us see the hawk. Hawk is the final, that is called the tertiary consumer. Hawk is called the tertiary consumer. Tertiary carnivores, we can say tertiary carnivores. So carnivores is three types you can find here: frog, snake, and hawk. Frog is a primary carnivore, secondary, and a tertiary. This is called primary consumer. Primary carnivores, primary, first degree, second degree, third degree, but it is a consumer. It is a grass eating, herbivores. But all these three are what? Carnivores. Okay. So first degree, second degree, third degree. Carnivores का first degree, second degree, and third degree, but it is called consumer का first degree, primary consumer or herbivores. Is it right? So in this case, if you will see the consider 1000 of energy is available here, then 100 will be available here, 10 will be available here, and your 1 will be available, your 0.1 will be available over. If you see here how the energy flowing is taking place, 10% of the previous one. Is it right? 10% of the previous one. This is all about what the energy flow. Now let us see the importance of ecosystem. Okay, children, dear friends, let us see finally what is the importance of ecosystem. Importance of an ecosystem. That means, what are the importance? Number one, we can say that ecosystem has played an important role, very important for our survival, because it is play an important role in the maintenance of environment, as it is a structural and functional unity, as it is a fundamental unit in an environment. So its role is immense for us in order to survive in a healthy way. Is it right? So see, number one, it maintains balance. It maintains balance between the living things, is number one. It maintains balance between the living and non-living, between the living and non-living. Okay, it is there among the living things, it is the living with non-living things. Number two. Number three, it helps in nutrient circulation. So circulation of nutrients, that means rotation of nutrients also take place from one organism to another. फिर decomposer फिर soil में add हो जाता है, फिर soil से producer of plants is taken and again food is prepared, again goes to consumer, again decomposer, फिर come to the soil. So in this cyclical manner, it is helps in the nutrient circulation. Is it right? Next, it also helps in preservation and conservation of ecosystem, environment. Helps in preservation and conservation of environment. Is it right? So these are the somewhat importance of any ecosystem. Now this is all about today's class, and the next class we will discuss some more parts of this ecology and environment. Okay, till that, bye, have a good day.